on the history of music. It's a very important day. We'll just get right to it, man. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hi. All right, cool. My name's Jarret Forrester. I'm a musician from Greenville, South Carolina. I do country Americana type style music, and yeah.
See, I feel like we have a common bond because you're from Greenville, South Carolina, and my grandparents lived in Greenville, Kentucky. So
I got you. I got you. Yeah, there's so many. It's so hard.
all right. What first got you into music?
I always loved music when I was younger. I did choir from fourth grade all the way up to my 11th grade year in high school. But what made me want to be more of a performer, not just somebody that did it as a hobby. I actually saw Will Hogue in Asheville, North Carolina, the summer before I started high school, and I actually have a poster from a framed poster from that night in my bedroom. But that night, I literally said, "I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do," and it's pretty much been that way ever since.
Man, you. Uh, how would you describe the music you typically create?
Um, I would describe it just really as just Americana. I do singer songwriter Americana. I don't really truly consider myself like just a country singer because I think that word has gotten tarnished over the past 15 years, 15 plus years. But no, I mean, I just consider myself just an Americana songwriter. I was described one time because I love sad songs. I'm a big sucker for just sad music and sad songs. It's just my preference. And as awful as this sounds, had a man tell me he said boy he said you can't keep playing that slit your wrist country. He said we got to pick it up. We got to pick it up. And so it's just sad songs. Sad songs real loud is what I tell people a lot.
I like them. Do you have a process, a songwriting process, or is it just what the autonomy of it happening, or just kind of
Not
have
not
to go
not
ahead?
particularly. Not particularly. Honestly, it's um like there's sometimes that I write with other people. Like one of my best friends, Zach Kellum, who's a musician around here. He came over. We had talked. He came over Monday afternoon. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Let's get to writing." And he brought me a verse, just the first verse of this song he'd been working on, and we knocked it out. But I mean, I typically write alone. I want to write more with people, but I typically write alone. And so we. But honestly, it's just me sitting down with a pad and pen and my guitar. Sometimes I sit down and something comes out of it. But sometimes nothing comes out of it. I'm not very consistent. I know a lot of people that are like, I try to write 2 new songs a week. I'm like, if I can, there'll be some days like especially during COVID, there was one day that I wrote 3 brand new songs that are all going on a new project that I'm doing right now, and I wrote them all within like 3.5 hours. Now that was the first 3 songs that I'd written in probably 4 weeks, but I knocked out 3 within 3 hours that I really liked, and so it's. I'm not the kind of person that's like I get an idea and I write 15 songs about it and hope one's good. I'm just the kind of person that's like I'm just gonna write one thing and then we'll see where it goes.
All right. Is there anybody you would really like to collaborate with?
Either Will Hogue or BJ Barham from American Aquarium. Those are my
Oh,
two. I'm a huge American Aquarium fan. I've seen them 11 times. Uh, Big American Aquarium fan. And I would love to collaborate with either BJ or Will Hogue, since those are the two my main influences with music. So either BJ Barham or Will Hogue is probably my top two.
going to the bar tonight. It's a fun song. Anyway,
Oh yeah,
getting
his solo record is perfect. And I actually have an American Aquarium tattoo, so I mean I'm branded for life with him. But yeah, no, dude, there's probably at least in a 3-hour show, I'll probably play at least 5 to 7 of his songs.
Uh, so do you have a favorite song you like to play?
Um, it all depends on the night. It all depends on how I'm feeling. I mean, I love um. I think there's like one in particular that just jumps out. That's songs like Purple Rain and stuff like that are always fun to play, just because people get into it. But one that I've gotten into playing recently that I really like. I'm a big Garth Brooks fan, and Garth Brooks is a very underrated song that came out like the mid 2000s, and it's called More Than a Memory. And I've got where I play that one once or twice a week at shows that I've been really jamming on. So yeah, it probably had to be one of those.
What is your most favorite show you've played?
I'll tell you what was a great show. Have you ever heard of Abby the Spoon Lady?
No, I don't guess.
Okay, she's viral all over like YouTube and stuff. And she sells out like these small theaters like everywhere she goes. Well, I had the privilege to open 2 nights for her, one of which was sold out back in last September, I want to say. That sounds about right. Something like that. It was 2 nights. One show was sold out. One show was like halfway sold out. But night one of that show was just awesome. It's just one of those things where like all the jokes hit on the right cue because I tell jokes and stories on stage, and so like all the jokes hit the right cue and everything was really going. And then once that and then they played in a fantastic show, and I got to meet a bunch of new people. And then they all came back to my house, and they drove their bus back to my house, and we sat in the front. I made a fire. We sat in the front yard till probably 4 a.m. Playing guitar. And Dusty, who sings for her and plays banjo, was showing me how to play a banjo, which was very interesting.
It's hard.
I had all kinds of interesting sounds coming out of that banjo, but yeah, it was super fun. So that one really sticks out of my mind because that's especially in country music, they're not all venues. It's a lot of bars and restaurants and things of that nature. And so when you get to play like the bigger venues and to kind of feel a crowd that's there solely to listen to music, it's really fun. And so
Yeah.
So probably night one of Abby the Spoon Lady was probably one of my top shows.
And here's the counter question: what's the worst show you ever played?
Oh, okay. Well, I have a bunch of those. So I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one that like it was okay. So God, there's some early in my career and there's some kind of in the middle. So I'll tell you two. So one early in my career, there's a bar. It's called Two Birds, and literally it was the first bar ever in Simpsonville, South Carolina. And my grandfather used to go there apparently, and so this was right when I was starting out, and she was like, this woman is just an older woman that owns it, and she said, I'll pay you to play every Thursday night, $125 for 4 hours. And I was just like, I was like, okay. Well, literally that bar was just empty every time. I literally played for the bartender for a month straight for like 4 shows. And it was grueling. I used to have a music partner, and I brought him along with 1 or 2 of them. And literally I remember because we were both working full-time jobs at the time, and I was sitting on a bar stool beside him, and we were both playing, and we both fell asleep on the bar stools. We didn't stop playing. We kept up our parts. He was soloing, and I'm just sitting there. We just both got our eyes closed, and we're playing because we were just both so exhausted. And then I'll tell you one. So I excuse me. So it was 2018. I want to say, yeah, it's 2018. No, I'm sorry, 2019. And so we were trying to travel. We actually played we did 125 shows in 5 states, something like that. And one of those we played in Nashville for the first time, and that was great. That was super fun. We played the stage in downtown Nashville. But we also played in Chattanooga, Tennessee, at this bar called like Fireside Grill or something. It was horrible. Like there were people like because how this bar was set up, it was a restaurant, and there was like this little like cubby, and you were a good from the closest table, you were a good like 35 feet, and you were just so tucked back, and we were supposed to play 2 nights there, and like we played 3 hours, and it was just horrible. Like nobody even looked at us, and I mean this wasn't like in our early days. I mean we at least had our show down, and the guy that was running it was like he's this big muscled up dude. And he was like, I lost my ass tonight, blah 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 blah. But now keep in mind, he didn't promote the show. He made a post 30 minutes before we started playing. That was the only promotion that they did for us. And a band coming from 6 hours out of town, that was the only promotion they did. But we ended up having to play the next night because he was like, because I was like, I remember telling him, I was like, well, I said, I'll make you a deal. I said, you give us to pay for tomorrow night. I said, you can book another band. I said, because we'll go home. And he didn't want to do that, which obviously not. And so I remember playing. It was just he literally handed me the money. Didn't like the next night. Handed me the money. Didn't shake my hand. Didn't even look me in the eye. And we just walked out. It was that bad, man. It was that was a rough one. Chattanooga was kind of rough on me, but I got a buddy who does a lot of work up there, and he wants me to come up there and hang out with him and do some shows up there. So hopefully I can redeem my opinion of the Chattanooga bar scene.
Yeah. So, let's see here. What's tell us about your album. When did it come? When did you release this? The name?
My album released October 16th. Yeah, that sounds about right. My album released October 16th of last year. It was a COVID project. I couldn't play shows for 2 months, and so I worked on that album for 5 months, but we got a majority of it done in 2. This album's called Songs I Wrote for You. The title track was actually a song that I wrote for a girl that I was dating during COVID. She actually lives in Birmingham, Alabama, which is why the first line is I need 85 to Birmingham, because that's the interstate you take from South Carolina going through Atlanta to get to Alabama. And I wrote that song because we were dealing with long distance stuff, and I hated it. And then and that was how the title track came. Me and her aren't together anymore, but that was kind of how the title track of the album came along. And what it wasn't meant to do this, but I noticed that I looked at every single song on the record that I wrote personally. Now, I wrote 6 of the 8 songs on this record. Gypsy Soul was not written by me. Gypsy Soul was written by a good friend of mine, Mr. Greg Payne, who's got a band called the Piedmont Boys, who's locally here, that are fantastic. And then Help Me Make It Through the Night was written by the amazing and super talented and recently retired Chris Christopherson from the Highwaymen.
Mm-hmm.
And but 68 songs, and literally every song on that album was written for or about somebody. Whether it was a girl that I was in love with, a girl that broke my heart, like everything on that album that I personally wrote was about somebody. And so when I wrote that song and I, titled it, Songs I Wrote for You, I was like, well, that's perfect, because that's literally what this album is. This album is almost a love letter to all these people. Maybe not a romantic love letter, but just an emotional love letter to these people that I've written these songs about. And there's a lot of songs, there's a couple songs in there that the people that they're written about have no idea those songs are for them. And so that's kind of cool, but that's really how that album came. The album was actually produced by Andrew Crawford, who was a Grammy nominated. His band was Grammy nominated for Country Album of the Year back in 2019, and the Jake Bartley Band. But now he's got his own solo project. He just released his debut solo album, but it was produced by him. It was really fantastic spending those 5 months with him at his home studio, and just really grinding out, but really just kind of building a bigger friendship, because we didn't know a lot about each other before. And then, like I said, we spent 5 months in the studio together, so we really learned a lot about each other. And then it actually turned out the first day that I got there, we found out that we were actually fraternal brothers. So that was kind of cool that we found out we were in the same fraternity. So we had just a lot to kind of bond over, and it was really cool.
Do you have what would be the most useless talent you have?
Most useless talent I have.
I love this. This is one of my other favorite questions. Don't say music. That's what everybody says.
Yeah, really. I mean, trying to think. I am a trivia just like wizard. My favorite shows, especially the ones that me and my girlfriend watches, my favorite anything trivia, like whether like I'm big on the show The Chase. I love The Chase and The Wall. And even stuff like it's not really trivia, but like Wheel of Fortune, like game shows. Like I just love game shows so much. And so that's probably my thing. It's just a head full of useless knowledge, especially like useless music knowledge. Like I just have like unnecessarily
Me too.
just like different bands. One of my favorite bands growing up, when I was in like elementary school and stuff was Kiss. And so like I just have like all these useless facts about Kiss that are still floating in my head now as a 23-year-old man, and the same way I did when I was like 9. It just hasn't left.
Let's see. What's some of your favorite show have you played?
Venue?
But like favorite video, where all have you played? I'm sure you've done some really cool stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Spinning Jenny is always fun to play at, which is in Greer. And then there's a music venue called the Radio Room in Greenville that I've had the opportunity to play at multiple times. And I was supposed to play in March, but now I'm going to be playing in September because it got moved again. But I'm actually opening up for Paul Thorne in September, which was really cool. It was supposed to be in November, then it got moved to March, and now it's being pushed to September. But that's going to be really fun to do. But yeah, Radio Room and play that. There's a bar that I play at once a month called City Tavern here in downtown Greenville. That's always super fun. Sharky's in downtown Greenville. Honestly, any place with good energy that just wants to have a good time, we're gonna have a good time. Like, I do my best just to make every show, as big as I possibly can. Whether it's just me sitting in the corner, playing a guitar or whatever, I'm gonna tell jokes. I got stupid stories that go with some of these songs. Some of them are true, some of them aren't. But just a whole anywhere with energy is where I want to be. But yeah, I mean places in Greenville, like Radio Room and Greer, like the Spinning Jenny, and then Sea Tavern and Sharky's are always just such fun places. And there's another place in Simpsonville that's really cool. It's called Sweet Sippin', and one of her big things is they highly encourage original music. It's a 3-hour set, so I mean she's not telling you about all original or anything like that. But she's it's one of the few places that, like, if you say, because my whole thing is I love requests. I love people requesting songs. I will play requests for 3 hours straight. If I've heard the song once or twice, I'll figure out how to play it. Because I have my phone right there next to me, so I can just look it up and then I'll figure it out. But one thing that Julie is really big on, and her patrons are really big on, is constantly, I'm like, hey, has anybody got any requests? I'm like, play something you wrote. And that's just a great feeling for people to want to hear something that you put effort into, and you really put your heart and soul into, and so now they want to hear it, and that's the place where I normally sell CDs and meet people, because they're just so open to live music, and they just don't want to hear Luke Bryan covers all night.
Oh. So what's next? Before we'll wrap this up here shortly. What's next for you? What you got going on?
I got a brand new single coming out on Valentine's Day. It's called Lonely Bush Light.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So that's coming out. It's kind of a fun. Yeah. I got a brand new single coming out February 14th called Lonely Bush Light. I kind of wrote it as a joke. I'm real bad about losing my beer at a party, and so this is kind of just a love song to Bush Light, and especially the ones that I keep losing. And then that is actually going to be kind of the prequel to. I have a 4-song, a 4-song all original EP, including that song coming out hopefully sometime in May or June. I got a bunch of shows on the coast for this summer, so I'm trying to get it out before I go down, just to try to just to kind of have something new to show people. But yeah, so just trying to release music. Tomorrow, I'm actually, what's tomorrow, February 4th, I'm actually doing a live stream. We're going to do about an hour-long live stream, and all the tips I raise are going to the Shriners Hospital for Children right here in Greenville. I'm an ancient Freemason, but I'm also a He-Jazz Shriner, and so I wanted to do just kind of like a mini concert to try to raise some money for those kids because they deal with so much. So anything that I can do to help those kids is what I'm going to do. So yeah, we got a little live stream going tomorrow, February 4th, and people can donate through Cash App and Venmo and PayPal and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we're good. We're going to go ahead.
And well, before I leave, I do have some kind of people just to thank, because I have some amazing people who support me. I am currently endorsed by Gone Country Hats. And that's the hat I'm currently rocking right now. I'm endorsed by Gone Country Hats, Breed Love Guitars, Intune Guitar Fix, and Kurt Mangan Strings. All fantastic companies. And then my newest sponsor, who is going to help me, who's helping me financially with all the stuff over in Europe, is he's here, but he's helping me get my music promoted in Europe. Is McJunkin Consulting Group. They do plant consulting, and they're absolutely fantastic. So I just wanted to thank all those guys for believing in me, for sponsoring me, for helping me out along this journey. So I did want to just make sure that I talked about them.
Hey, that's what this is for, man. All right. Thank you again. We're going to sign off. Be sure to like Underground, like Jarret Forrester Music, follow on Instagram, look up Spotify. Songs I wrote. It's songs I wrote for you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. that songs I wrote for you. Follow it. There's some great songs on it. Yes. I like Colder. That's the one I played at the beginning. That's the one that got me right away. But there's another one. The other one I like a lot too. I think it's called Tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tonight is by far my favorite record. It's the one that I wrote for the girl I'm currently dating now. So that
right on. That's a really good.
That song is all about her.
Right. Well, thanks again, man. So I'm going to sign off. We're going to sign off. This will be up. You can share here in a second. All right, everybody. Anybody? Hey, got a joke? Nobody sent me a bad joke of the week. So. I
got one. I'll give you one of my favorite jokes. This joke makes me laugh. It is so dumb, but it makes me laugh. Can I use profanity at all?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So 2 muffins sitting in the oven. One muffin turns to the other and says, "Damn, it's getting hot in here." The other one goes, "Holy shit, a talking muffin." It's one of my favorite jokes.